This week we will be looking at modals of obligation. In case you've forgotten, modals are verbs that we add into a sentence to change the meaning slightly. So these words we're looking at this week are must, should, and have to. The three main forms of obligation are a personal feeling of feeling obliged, so the person who's speaking thinks it's important, advice and suggestions, and rules, so things that we have no choice that we have to follow. So the first one we'll look at is must. Must we can use in the present and in the future, okay, but it's still the same word. So we can say, we have no food in the house, I must go shopping. Now we can say, I'm going shopping now, or I must go shopping tomorrow. Doesn't matter, okay, present or future. But we use must to talk about personal necessity. So it's something that the person who is speaking thinks is very important. So I open my cupboards, there's no food. I think, I'm hungry, I'm going to have to go shopping, therefore I must go shopping. Okay, no one's telling me I have to go, no one is requiring me to go, no one is suggesting that I go, it's just me thinking, must go shopping. Similarly, we are going on holiday next week, I must remember to pack the tickets. So again, I think this is important. So we form must as a modal verb with the word must and the infinitive. So it doesn't matter if we're talking about the present or the future, it's must plus the infinitive. The rest of the sentence will tell us when. So I must go shopping tomorrow, I must go shopping now. Okay, either way, it doesn't matter. But we do still need to have a main verb. Okay, so we add must, and then we need a main verb. Because it's a modal verb, it doesn't change. It doesn't matter who must do what, it still must. So I must go shopping. You must go shopping. He, she, it must go shopping. Okay, must doesn't change because it's modal. Go doesn't change because it's the infinitive. The negative of must is mustn't. So we use mustn't to talk about a prohibition, something that you should not do, something that's important that you don't do, probably because it's a rule or a law, or just because it's advisable, okay? But something that is important that you don't do. Again, mustn't we can use in the present or the future. So for example, you mustn't talk on the phone while driving, okay? That's a law. So you mustn't do it now, you mustn't do it tomorrow, you mustn't do it ever. I mustn't forget to do my homework. That's not a law, but your teacher will be very cross with you and you will fail your exam. When we say mustn't, this T in the middle, we don't pronounce it. So we just say mustn't, mustn't. So again, it's a modal verb. So we form it with mustn't plus the infinitive. It's a modal verb, it doesn't change. It's the infinitive, it doesn't change. I mustn't forget, you mustn't forget, he, she, it mustn't forget. Okay, something that you should not do. Mustn't. Right, next one, should. Should we can use in the present and to talk about the future. We can use it to talk about the past, but you need to use a perfect tense. So I should have, oh dear, where are we going? I should have eaten healthier food. Don't worry about it. At the moment, we're going to stick with the present and the future, so it's fine. We use it for giving and receiving advice. So you should eat healthier food. They should help their mother around the house more. It's not a rule. It's not something, a personal feeling. It's advice for someone else. So if we want to be thin and beautiful, you should eat healthier food. This is the advice. Again, should is a modal, so we form it using should plus the infinitive. They're both verbs that don't change. So I should eat healthier food, you should eat healthier food, he, she, it should eat healthier food. Okay, so if we're giving advice or if we're asking for advice, what do you think I should do? Again, we use should. The negative is shouldn't. So again, giving and receiving advice. So this is something that we think is a bad idea for someone to do. So you really shouldn't eat 15 donuts for breakfast. You'll end up enormous and you'll feel sick. I shouldn't drink a bottle of wine, but I probably will. Okay, so should is just advice. We don't have to take advice. We should, but we don't. So again, it's a modal verb, shouldn't plus the infinitive. So it still needs another main verb to tell us exactly what's happening in the sentence. And because it's a modal verb and the infinitive doesn't change. I shouldn't drink another bottle of wine. You shouldn't drink another bottle of wine. He, she, it shouldn't drink another bottle of wine. Right, the next one is have to. Now, have to is not, strictly speaking, a modal verb, so it behaves a little differently. We can use it in any tense, and we use it to talk about rules. So these are things that we have no choice in. We must do them, we have to do them. It's absolutely the rules that we do this. So for example, I have to pay my phone bill every month. If I don't pay my phone bill every month, then I'll cut off my phone. He has to buy a train ticket to get to Peterborough. If he doesn't buy a train ticket, the police will get him and he'll be in trouble. So to form this, because it's not a modal verb, but we're using it like a modal verb, it behaves a little differently. So we need have to. Now have has to match the subject and the tense. So I have to pay my phone bill every month. You have to pay your phone bill every month. You can pay mine if you like. You have to pay your phone bill every month. He, she, it has to pay his, her, its phone bill every month. Okay, so the infinitive is always the same, but have has to match the subject and it needs to match the tense. Okay, so yesterday he had to buy a ticket to get to Peterborough. The negative is don't have to. Now this is slightly different because this is talking about something that you don't have to do, means that you're not required to. So it's not saying the law says that you should not do something. It's saying you don't have to. It's saying it's not required. It's a choice. Okay. So this one is quite common that you might see in places of work, a sign saying you don't have to be mad to work here, but it helps. Okay, it's not a requirement that you are not mad. Okay, they don't look at your CV and say, are you mad? Oh, you're not mad, you can definitely work here. It's not the rule that you're not mad, it just helps. Okay, it's a choice. Similarly, he doesn't have to wear a hat to class, but every week he comes and he has a hat on his head. Okay, it's his choice. So you don't have to follow this rule, you can do what you like. And that is basically it. Okay, so it follows the same thing. Don't have to plus the infinitive. All right, so this has to match your tense and it has to match your person, because don't here is your auxiliary. So you don't have to be mad. I don't have to be mad. He, she, it doesn't have to be mad. So this now, as an auxiliary, takes the tense and it takes the subject. Okay, this is the word that changes. So we can talk about things in the past. He didn't have to wear a hat to class. He doesn't have to wear a hat to class. Okay, so we can use it for the present and the past and the future. If you want to use must in the past, then we use have to. If we want to use should, and we're talking about the past, we can use have to or a perfect tense. It's your choice. If you can't tell the difference between whether it's a rule about you having to do something or whether it's you feeling yourself that you have to do something, then you can use either must or have to. So the difference between must and have to is very, 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 very small. And so you can very often choose for yourself. So finally, you have this chart on Moodle, which came from the textbook Speak Out. which is brilliant. And have a read through this, and I will see you at your next lesson.